XRP is exploding, and the price is bet over $227 by the end of the week as whales have begun purchasing XRP in massive amounts. In this example, just happening less than 30 minutes ago, a whale bought over 30 million XRP, equivalent to about $9 million. And it's not a crazy highlight when you understand that institutions like BlackRock, like Elon Musk, are all jumping on board to the XRP ledger. They're all jumping on board XRP to either use it or to try and make massive amounts of money. For example, this is the volume in the last couple of days for XRP, where the volume surged into the hundreds of millions of dollars. And nobody's talking about it because, again, the institutions are restricting the media. They're restricting the news, and specifically this right here. I mean, this is breaking news that should be reported everywhere. BlackRock is set to channel over $9 trillion into their XRP reserve, potentially driving XRP to $160.76. Now, this is not the only outlet doing this. Take a look at this report right here by JP Morgan. A leaked report revealed that JP Morgan, and this is a JP Morgan report, JP Morgan is set to invest over 7.5% of their net worth into XRP. Why is that? Well, if you understand what is happening, well, there's about to be a massive supply shock due to both central bank use case of XRP, financial institution use case of XRP, and retail use case of XRP. And all of this is going to prompt a massive supply shock for XRP in the next couple of weeks. And so if you're able to accumulate XRP prior to the massive all-time high breakout, then anybody that does is going to make generational wealth in the process. And it's been predicted by massive institutions, not me, but massive institutions like Wells Fargo, like JP Morgan, and like BlackRock. And they all sit at similar numbers. Again, we talked about $172 per XRP. We talked about $227 per XRP. And the real number lies around that number, which is $100 to $500 as predicted by Wells Fargo in the next 2 to 7 months. Imagine that. In 2 to 7 months, XRP will break out to between $100 and $500 per XRP, meaning you can literally become a multi-millionaire by getting XRP at $2 and selling it at $200 to $500. But again, they'll never tell you that's happening. They're never going to also tell you about this right here, that Elon Musk joins Ripple partnership and is set to inject $104 billion. But you know what is the biggest secret of them all? It is something that is about to inject over $650 trillion, is confirmed by a massive institution and is partnering with Ripple. And this institution is literally going to inject it in as early as weeks and is rumored, again, to be partnering with Ripple. We're talking about massive trillions of dollars and a way that you can create generational wealth directly on the XRP ledger. But before we get into the details, guys, we've actually partnered with Liable to give every single person watching in today's video up to $100 for you to accumulate even more XRP with. Again, this is a golden opportunity. It's literally free money. The whole process takes less than 5 minutes, so I definitely recommend it. And with that being said, let's get right into the details. Trillions of dollars, and I mean trillions of dollars, are going to pump into the XRP ledger directly in weeks. And this is going to happen through BlackRock, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, but also one of the biggest institutions that is set to inject trillions of dollars is actually RealFi, a multi-trillion-dollar institution set to inject over $654 trillion in the real estate market directly onto the XRP ledger. Remember when Arthur Britto said XRP is going to $10,000? Well, he made it clear that the only way that would happen is with globalization and adoption of XRP at a global level, highlighting 7.5 billion people. And imagine this is exactly what is unfolding right in front of our eyes on the XRP ledger, the globalization and the adoption of XRP at a really large scale. And it's happening due to the XRP ledger built project Real Token, which is allowing you to internationally buy real estate directly on the XRP ledger using Real. Now, the way this works is we are about to see a big supply shock both for XRP and the Real Token, because Real Token actually helps facilitate transactions using, again, the XRP ledger, because Real Token uses the XRPL. Now, the way this is going to work is with every single time a transaction is done using the Real Token, which is, we're talking, trillions of transactions, $650 trillion worth of transactions, but every single time a transaction is done, you're going to burn XRP, because Real Token is built on the XRP ledger, and the only way for people to accumulate Real Token is by buying XRP. So it's literally a win-win. We're talking trillions of dollars being unlocked directly onto the XRP ledger, and it's all going to impact the price of XRP and Real Token. And because Real Token has a very low supply, we're talking Real Token has a total max supply of 1 billion, and because it has very strong support and very low resistance, I mean, this thing could literally skyrocket to over $65,000. Not my words, but the words of multiple experts and analysts, and you can literally search them up. They've all predicted similar things. Because with such a low supply of real token and because the massive market that it can literally unlock, you got to understand that the amount of money that it's going to facilitate is going to be in the trillions of dollars. And there isn't enough supply to accommodate for these trillions of dollars. And so you end up having a very high price per real token. And this even applies on a small scale. Like, think about it like this. Right now, real token is very small. I mean, they don't facilitate that much money in terms of volume. But imagine right now, because of its very low supply, if $10,000 were to be injected into real token, somebody were to buy $10,000 worth of real token, the price would literally soar into, like, it literally could be over $50, $60, $70 from 3 cents. This is how insane this thing that we're talking about. This is why, again, you see a lot of people talking about now real token. They have no mass marketing campaign. There's no real, they just listed on a centralized exchange, meaning it's still very complicated to buy. And it's not even one of the big centralized exchanges, but they are listed on one. They just got listed, and it went from hundreds of a penny to over 2.5 cents. That's a big deal. And again, we are talking about it. Imagine at scale. Imagine now we talk about, $100,000 in daily transaction volume for real token. What would the price of real token be? Well, we could literally project massive numbers. We could project here that $100,000 in daily transaction volume could be like $200-$300 per real token from 3 cents. So that literally means that if you put in $10,000, you could be making $1 million instantaneously overnight. That is the scale. This is the same as Bitcoin. See, there's once in a lifetime golden opportunities that appear. Some of them are people that bought into Bitcoin at $1 and Bitcoin skyrocketed to 150,000, 120,000. That is insane. But this is another one of those once in a lifetime opportunities, once in a lifetime golden opportunities where you can actually create generational wealth for you and your kids. And this is one of these golden opportunities that you can literally see and that you can take action on. Again, I bought a massive bag of real token. I'm very bullish on this project. I think if you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar solution to the payment industry, to the real estate industry, built on the XRP ledger, it is literally going to skyrocket. I think this is one of the only projects that are like this, and you can actually get in very early, and that's why I got a big bag of this. I mean, you get in very early, and you accumulate, and you hold on, because really what I'm expecting is I truly believe that we are going to skyrocket very, very soon into one of the biggest bull markets that we have seen. And I think that what is about to happen is we're going to get into a massive bull market where projects like this skyrocket, make people millions of dollars, and then we're going to hit a 4-year bear market. So it's time to accumulate into projects that are going to create that generational wealth that are going to skyrocket before that bear market. And real token, in my opinion, is one of those projects that are literally going to create generational wealth. And this is why, again, not just me, but a lot of experts and analysts are really talking about this project. Again, you'll realize that when people look at it, there's not many eyeballs. So not many people know about real token, but those that do see it are trying to get themselves a bag. And this is why, even though, again, it's very, very small. I mean, real token is about 2 or 3 months old, which is actually nothing. They have about 3,000 holders, which is, again, nothing. Like XRP has about 9-10 million holders, and it's stuck at $2. Real token has only, like 3,000 holders, which is actually nothing. And this is the scale that we're talking about. I mean, if real token gets to just a very, slightly higher market cap, we're talking about the price per real token being in the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. I mean, again, we talked about, what the experts and analysts are saying, which is $65,000 per real token if it just captures 1%, just 1% of the $650 trillion. So again, I mean, I'm very, very bullish on this project. I'll definitely be leaving all the links down below in the description. You can check their Twitter at RealFiTeam, but you can also check them out on DEX, which is X Magnetic, or if you want to get it directly on MEX, it's a lot easier, but you can get it on MEX. I mean, it's up a few percentages. This is the time I think we are really, really hitting that breakout formation. We are going to see a breakout very, very soon. The charts are going to actually skyrocket. And again, this is when we can hit the all-time high. And this is only days away here. So I'll be leaving all the information down below.
International Monetary Fund has already agreed on a price before all this integration started to happen. So this was a few years ago. They agreed upon a price, and I got a lot of information from Linda P. Jones has a friend who worked at the Central Bank of Australia, and she said that they agreed upon a price, and it's in the thousands. Now, when we again talk about the XRP price, we have to look at the global debt, the incentive for central banks to dissolve global debt, in fact, also to utilize this source of liquidity from XRP to facilitate, transparency and, moving into the digital economy. This is what they're going to be using. XRP is a financial instrument to serve the global economy. When you start to take all these things into account, and again, like David Schwartz said, the price has to be very high. So the higher the price is, the International Monetary Fund has already agreed on a price before all this.
XRP is like a Bitcoin. It's a digital asset. It's today the third most valuable digital asset. And what we do is we take a transaction between banks, and instead of having a bank pre-fund an account at the other bank, which is how correspondent banking works today, the Bank of Brad in dollars would pre-fund to the Bank of Julia, perhaps in pounds, and then I would debit and credit that. But that means I have to pre-fund and have dormant capital sitting at that other bank. What we allow banks to do, we allow payment providers to do, is to tap into the liquidity of XRP liquidity. So today there's lots of liquidity between XRP and US dollar. There's lots of liquidity between XRP and British pound. And you could tap into that to move value in real time, in seconds. And even compared to Bitcoin, which takes up to 12 minutes to complete one transaction, XRP is extremely fast at about 3 seconds per transaction. That has meant XRP is extremely scalable in contrast to how Bitcoin works. The consumer itself doesn't actually see that it's flowing through XRP to solve their problem. What the consumer sees is simply a better product at a better price. And so we're seeing more momentum than we've ever had around using XRP to move this liquidity around the world. And so we couldn't really be happier about how that has played out in a world where there's still a lot, I think, of FUD, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt about what's going on in crypto. This is a real use case solving a real problem for real customers.
Alright guys, that's going to be the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this video. I'll see you next time, and peace.